Hello YouTube, this is Shirley426, and today we finally have the review of the Gundam Origins HG RX-78. We've come a long way. We started with the Gundam local type, and then we finally arrived on the original Gundam RX-78 from the Gundam Origins version. Now for those who don't know, I am a big fan of the Gundam local types and their variants, so which is why I pretty much reviewed all of the variants that came out as well. So, as usual, we'll start off with our review. For those who keep asking me how I got this, where I got this, I've mentioned this millions of times at this point, where I am living in Korea, and Korea has Gundam Base, which is actually a direct service from Bandai. We get the latest kits right away, maybe if we're late, maybe a day later from Japan. So Japan actually got this kit released on Friday, we got it on Saturday. Same goes for the RG EVA Unit 1. Okay, so let's go on to the review. So first of all, we'll go with our usual components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the mobile suit itself, the Gundam RX-78. Hand-wise, I already attached the multi-purpose hands for left and right, and on the back, I gave it 2 beam sabers. Now, currently, this kit has a lot of options to make either. You get option parts to make either the early type, which we have in the Master Grade version, and then the middle type, which is the more of the traditional RX-78 look we know. But of course there are some different detail differences, but yeah, I'll go over that later. But I won't be demonstrating that kit wise because it requires to detach and reassemble some parts, so I am not doing that. Okay, so I'm gonna push this a little bit to the back and talk about parts. So first of all, what you get, of course, is from some leftover parts. We get some leftover polycaps, nothing too special, it's a typical thing. And here we have some leftover inner frame parts that is a common, like, this is from the HG Origins plate. So basically this plate composes of like basic common origin inner frame parts. As you can see, we use some parts but not everything, so we do have some leftover. Which one this is, like the one that goes onto the leg. These ones I believe are the ones that goes onto the feet, and ones that go onto the arm. So we do have some leftover parts. And then let's go over the weapons. So we'll go over the basic one. So first of all, we get 2 beam saber effect parts, as usual. So we're going to get rid of that. We know how those work. We get this part, which is actually the same exact cannon as the Gundam local type. While I do like the design, I really hate the way how this connects. So yeah, I just want to mention that. As much as I love the local type, there are some aspects regarding the kit I really hate, and those aspects are still on this kit. So yeah. We get the Hyper Bazooka, a very different looking bazooka compared to the HUC version. As I mentioned, I should have mentioned the stickers first. So we have these stickers, and then as you can see, I didn't use everything. I used the head camera, but only the back one, because the red one front here, there is actually a red separate piece inside the head. So I thought it would feel odd to have a red camera on top of a red sticker on top of a red piece. This is obviously the eye sticker, the V symbol on the crotch. I used the Gundam marker to color. There's this green one which goes onto the beam rifle, and then we have these round ones that go all over the around the joint area. But yeah, I'll go over those later. And then let's see, we have this one, number 9, which is a yellow circle, which is supposed to go onto the scope. If this was a flat surface, I would have used it, but not being a flat surface, I did not use that. And then typically we have a moving handle, not too much of a range, but still that's better than nothing. And then we have this part to connect, so you can attach this connector here on the back, on the side, and then store the bazooka onto the back skirt armor using this hole. So yeah. And then hand-wise, we also have open hands for left and right. Very nice, because not many kits actually include those hands. And then here we have, we also get a trigger finger for left and right. I already attached those to the rifles, just to save time. This is the early type beam rifle, very cool looking. I believe there's a similar weapon in Gundam Battle Operations 2 that the White Dingo Gym uses. We have a moving scope, and then here's the green sticker that I use on the weapon. Very cool looking. And then here we have a more traditional or typical looking beam rifle that the RX-78 uses. Once again, I don't think it's the exact same build as the HUC version, but yeah, pretty good looking. And then here, I already mentioned these parts, and now I think I should start mentioning the option parts, or kind of a semi-leftover parts. So I do kind of suggest that you buy 2 of these for the sake of having both versions. First of all, here we have some decal stickers. We get some EFSF symbols, other like typical symbols that I barely don't care about. So yeah. All right, so here we have some parts that. Okay, so here we have this body part. The only difference is the line here. You can see each left and right. These details are exactly the same. The one that I use for the early type is that this section is different. That's the only difference regarding this body part. So that's what I would like to mention. Okay, so here we have this part. This is the Gatling gun part, which actually is used on the early type, only on one arm, which I kind of find odd. But yeah, here we have that arm. And we do, if you want to have both, they do actually give you another arm, which allows you to attach it right like this. But the main reason why they give you this is that if you build the early middle type, is that you have to use these, but these arms don't have the Gatling gun. So for the middle type, they would have like each of these arms would have an empty slot right over here. So once again, I kind of find that a little bit odd, but that is the case. I mean, of course, if you want to go literally like the more traditional way without any empty gaps, you still get this. So you can have both of these on the arm, because the right arm doesn't have anything on it. So yeah. And then here we have these. These are shoulder parts. Once again, if you go with the early type, you will have the more normal looking shoulder parts. But if you go with the middle type, you will have these parts inside. So you'll have these parts popping out on the top. So that's the only difference. And then here we have some of these small parts. So these parts, for those who build the master grade Origins, might know what these are. Is that so on the body right over here on the top, we have this section which you can actually take it off and then attach a. I hope this is the right direction, because there is a left and right differences as far as I can, if I read the manual correctly. Yeah, there we go. You can attach the machine gun on top and then the blue piece on top once again to make it look like it's opened, like that. And you do get another part, so you can actually attach the other one onto the other side. Which I believe these are also weapons. I forgot what they were called, but yeah, if you want to have a double Gatling gun right over here, you can also do that. Alright, and finally we get the traditional looking shield. But of course, the Origins way, how they hold it, is not like this, but like this. I will demonstrate these later. Alright, so let's go on to the review. So before we start on the actual articulation, which is pretty much the same, let's go over a simple comparison. So we started with the Gundam local type. Once again, a much more simple looking Gundam compared to the RX-78. But once again, it has its own charms. There are some very different aspects in terms of design wise. It's obviously different, but you can totally tell that it came from this. And then with the HUC version, this is the Premium Bandai exclusive real type version. This is the only HUC RX-78 I actually had, other than the Robot Damashi versions I had. So here we have, and you can see obviously Origins and HUC, they take a very different style. So yeah, I just want to mention that. Very different style. None of these parts are actually exactly the same as far as I can tell. Yep. Okay, now let's go over articulation. So the articulation is pretty much what you expect from any Gundam local type there. It's mostly the same, but it's like a mixed bag of this and that here and there. So head-wise, we don't use a polycam neck joint. We use a plastic one that we typically see in Origin. So you do get the chicken neck movement. That's what they call these days. And then you can go down that much, up that much, and then 360 twist on the head is no problem at all. I'm just being careful not to break the V-fin. And now is for the head. As I mentioned, for the head, the eyes are obviously a sticker. And then here we have the head crown, which is actually a red separate piece, so which is why I did not use the sticker. And we have yellow Vulcans, which are actually color separated parts that are inside. And okay, and then here we have the back crown, which is actually a sticker. And as you just saw, this is why I really hate this aspect in terms of the Origins kit. I mean, they did fix this on the Heavy Gundam, but I don't know why they kept using this one, because as you can see, it's more of a U/C shape, which is not exactly a perfect fit, which happens, which is why I'm pretty angry with this, is that the beam sabers are going to be all over the place. They're going to be wobbly around, and this is one aspect I personally did not like about it. As much as I like the local types, this is one aspect that I personally don't like. And the backpack, we can see it's the backpack. We can now definitely see it has the more traditional RX-78 look. Of course, the local type, the other local types would have a different backpack that has like 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that has 5 thrusters, and it was definitely messy. But now we have the typical looking look, and definitely I am enjoying that. Now body-wise, the body can go, let me see, I believe this is able to go 360 because nothing is actually in the way. Now I can't say we have an ab crunch, it's just the way how the connection here is made. So we do have like some movement here, but not a natural looking ab crunch basically. The front skirts, they originally come in a, a single piece, but I divided them. Of course, I think it'd be better if you don't, because it is on the wobbly side if you kind of go with this. Or this could be just mine, because I did kind of sand off a little bit on the ball joints, so that could be the main reason. And I should mention, if you remember the sticker sheet, we have these round ones. So I believe you're supposed to use only 8, because depending on which version, if you go with like the early version, this is the one you use. If you go with the middle version, this is the one you use, if I remember the manual correctly. But basically what these stickers are is that you take these these round stickers and then attach it onto these joints, onto the arm. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the leg 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where you apply it. But once again, these parts are not flat surfaces. Oh, sorry about that. Which is why I decided not to use them. I believe, well, if you want to use them on this part, but I don't believe the manual actually mentioned that, because if I remember, oh, I could be, okay, never mind. So yeah, you also have to apply stickers here, so you do actually have to use all of them, so my bad. Okay, so let's look at the arms. The arms have your typical ball jointed plastic connection here, so you have a forward and backward movement. Now technically this bottom section is supposed to pop out to allow the kit to move up higher for the arm, but mine's a little bit stiff, so that's not really happening. But we can go to the side 90 degrees, and we have your typical 360 twist on the arm, and the 360 twist on the entire arm as well. And we have a nice double jointed bend, and we have a hole there for the shield connection, and we have your typical ball jointed hands. Leg articulation wise, it's pretty much what you expect. We have a familiar looking joint there. We have a nice side swivel going on. The side skirt don't move that much, so you can barely almost go 90 degrees to the side. You can go forward, up. You can go forward 90 degrees up forward, and we have a nice bend over here, which also reveals the knee parts, and then can go not too much to the back. And also on the legs, we can open these sections up to reveal more thrusters. Very fun gimmick. And then we have a ball jointed feet and a toe bend. Okay, so we've seen the basic articulation, so I'll be right back with the weapons. Okay, I'm back. Here we have the most basic equipment. So I gave it the shield in the origin style, and then on the back skirt I gave it the bazooka. I basically stored the bazooka to be more specific, and on the right hand I gave it the traditional, more looking beam rifle. So yeah, it's really poseable. There's not much. I mean, you can pretty much pull off any pose you want to do so. Now, if there's one thing I forgot to mention, or I guess I should, now would be the more appropriate timing, is that not only can you store the bazooka like this, they also allow, in the manual, they also mention that on the beam rifle, now this also includes the not the prototype, I mean, the early type beam rifle, is that they also allow you, they give you a peg like this. As you can see, it's stored like this. You can flip it up, and then you can store the beam rifle onto the back skirt like that. Now, if the peg size is exactly the same, you can now store it onto the backpack as well. So if you want to store like maybe both, that might be actually a possible thing now. And yeah, I mean, because we usually see bazookas being held in, but we never usually see how they store the beam rifle. So I think that is personally a pretty good actual extra detail going on. Alright, I'll be right back with the second set of equipment. Okay, I'm back. Here we have pretty much all the weapons attached to the kit. So we have the beam rifle on the back skirt, we have the cannon on the backpack. On the left arm we gave it the prototype beam rifle, or the early beam rifle, and then we gave it the bazooka on the right arm. So with having a double trigger finger, it does really help out to attach a lot of weapons onto the kit. And as I mentioned, the early type beam rifle also has a peg which allows you to attach onto the back skirt of the armor. The only thing at this point I'm missing is the shield. Now technically, if you it's also mentioned in the manual, if you pretty much like position the peg in a certain position, you can actually store the backpack onto the backpack. Of course, this will only apply if you actually have both beam sabers onto the backpack, because with the cannon you can't do that. And that's pretty much it for the review. So we came a long way, starting from the local type to get here, and this kit provides a lot of play value. Not only the kit has a lot of like articulation and fun to play with, it comes with a lot of weapons, equipment, and option parts to the point where you can make your own version of the RX-78. And if you have a lot of local types, that means you should have a good amount of like leftover parts from here and there. That means you can also pretty much make your own variant using this kit as well. So it does have some customization value as well. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the RX-78 Gundam for the HG Origins line. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time!